I'm gonna show you how to build a beat like Creepin by Metro Boomin for sync licensing. It's a great day to be alive. This isn't gonna be a typical recreate the beat video. I'm gonna show you how to recreate the vibe, the mood, and emotions so you can use it for sync licensing. This is important because oftentimes when a new song comes out, shows want to use that song. Now, if it's a movie, they probably would pay for the license, but it costs a lot. And reality shows, they don't have the budget for it. That's why they look to people like us to recreate the mood, the vibe, the experience, the sound, so they can have the updated modern sounds for their productions. In a sense, you're making type beats, but instead of for an artist, you're making it for a show. Give me a type beat like Creepin. I thought it would be interesting to share some backstory about this song, Creepin. The Weeknd is covering the song I Don't Want to Know by Mario Winans. And Mario sampled from the Fugees, Ready or Not, Here I Come. But then the Fugees, they sampled from Enya in a song called Boadicea. I want to give you just a little bit of backstory because as a music producer and beat maker, you should really be open to different types of music. You never know what kind of sounds will inspire you to make the next big hit. All right, enough yapping. Let's start building the beat. I got my project pulled up, but first, let's look at the fake brief. So if you were going into a situation and you need to make something like Creepin, you might see something like this. So this is my fake reality show, The Love Triangle. You see it got submission deadline, 2 days, some other stuff. But the main thing you need to pay attention to is the track needs. So they want you to start off track with an ambient feel. Sparse drums with an emotional build-up to the hook. It has to be dark, emotional, moody, hip-hop R&B with some movement. Similar vibe to Creepin, but not a remake. And this is important because usually they don't want to be remade, the exact same song. They want to sound similar with the vibes. Let me show you how I build it out if I want to be for sync licensing. So let me mute all the instruments and I'm going to start with the hook. Now the brief said they wanted sparse drums. So let's listen to the drums. So nice and simple, nice and sparse, just like it said, nothing fancy. Then let's add the pads. So most of the song, Creepin, is just pads. Really, they add a few little different accents and bells and whistles here, but most of it is just pads. So let's add the pads in. So there we go. We got our dark emotion. Nice and simple. Now for the hook, we also add a piano. Let's add that in. Yeah. Now that adds some drama. Then on the second half, we add a little string. And then there's one more instrument I add for the hook, and it's this green section right here. Now, what I do to add some motion and transition is, if you look at the notes, it's kind of hard to see. It's a couple of notes that play right before it enters the fifth bar. So it's like a little mini transition, but using the instruments. Let's listen to it. So that's just a simple way to add some motion and transition without using like an effect. You start the bar before and ramp into it. So since we got everything in our hook, the brief said they wanted to start off with something ambient. So that's what I did right here. Little 4-bar intro with just the pads. And the verse, because we still want to keep the theme of sparse drums, so the drums are even sparser. All right. And if you listen to Creepin, it's really almost playing the same pads, the same sample over and over. But what they do is they have an EQ, and this adds a subtle difference. So let's play that again, the drums and the EQ pads. So to make it seem like it changes, all I'm gonna do is open the EQ up. Now you see how simple that subtle change was? All I did was change the EQ, and that's just like the song. So we're not recreating the song, we are recreating elements of the song. It also says in the brief that they want to build up to the hook. So that's what we're going to do with this piano, since the piano is like the main element in the song. So I'm really just taking these chords, and what I like to do is just break up the chords. So this is often you hear in orchestral music, they'll have a main theme or motif, and then they'll just break it up. So if you have a chord that just go doom, they'll break it up doom, doom, doom. So they're using the same element. So that's what I did with the piano right here to introduce something different. Let's listen. See, I'm playing the same chords, they're just broken up. And then since we're gonna build up, so the last 4 bars into the hook, I'm gonna build up. So if you look, the highs, I added a little shaker, the piano gets more aggressive, and I also added a string, and the piano is gonna lead us into the big hook. Let's take a listen. There we go. So that string, that kind of soft crescendo right there, we took away the drum elements and the string just pushes us into the hook. So that's probably where they would cut the show if someone is crying or it's a dramatic scene that take out the drums and it builds up. That's where they would edit that scene. And as soon as the hook comes, that's where the person would start crying and much emotion. One last thing, the brief did say it's supposed to be over 1:30. So as you see, we only have 1:09. So quick solution to how I do mostly all of my songs that go for sync licensing. I just copy what I have in the first half minus the intro and repeat it. So now we're at 2 minutes and 9 seconds, which is a good time for an ending. And always remember to end your songs on a sting. So a quick, easy way to do that, I'm just copying over the same kick. I want to kick on the first beat to hit. And if I had a bass sound, I don't have a bass sound in this, but you want it to kind of end. Let's use the piano. I'll just use the piano just to show you. I usually end with a bass note, but this is going to serve the same thing. Make sure nothing else is in the piano. And listen to how the song ends with the sting ending. So you see how that ended? So that would end the scene. So you want to make sure when you're making your songs for sync licensing for TV, you always end with that sting ending, because if you listen to shows, it's just like a punctuation mark. It's almost like a period at the end of a sentence. When you want the sentence to be done, you hit that punctuation, doom, and it's done. So all you're doing is just copying the root note, which you saw me do right here with this piano. All I did was take the first root note and put it at the end, and the kick is that period, that boom, that makes that punch. Now you understand how to take a popular song, rearrange it, recreate the mood so it can be used in sync licensing. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more breakdowns like this. And if you're still struggling with how to pick the right sounds and emotions, make sure you check out this video so you can better understand how to recreate sounds.